So this is one of my absolute favorite lessons, and I do this mostly with middle schoolers, but I think it's really beneficial for you guys now as we lean into more of our ELA content, as we move away from the process of writing. Remember, the process of writing is a little more rigid. It's more of that process, the step by step. There are separated layers, and that's not the case with ELA, right? So I just want to discuss something I do with my middle schoolers I still do this, and I'm in the college you go to after college, right? So I just wanted to give this as a little tidbit, and this will be linked in the Hamilton Use It unit, even though you can use it anywhere for anything. So we had visitors yesterday, and one of them was Hector, and he is the one who taught me this. So instead of like the formal language title of it, I just call it Hector's Guide to Reading for analysis and a deeper understanding of the text. And I'm going to use Hamilton to showcase how we're going to do this. You can see it in order. When I do teach to middle school, I do go in order, but you guys do not have to. This is just enhancing your analysis, annotation, and deeper understanding. So the first thing we read for is always going to be where's my screencastify? Is it here? The first thing we read for is going to be the gist, right? That's like when you remember teachers asking, like, what's the main idea here? You read a section and what is this about? What is generally going on and what claims are being made? I don't typically talk about claims with middle school, but you guys have clearly demonstrated that you can pinpoint and elaborate and counter argue claims. So we're going to use that as well. The gist, right? When you read for significant moments, this is the second time you're reading. The first time is like, what's going on here? The second time you read is you're unwrapping and digging deep and reacting to things. What is the most compelling? What is confusing? What seems to be the most significant? What cannot be overlooked? What do I need to make sure I recall and I understand fully? That looks more like annotations and circling and question marks. The gist is like jotting something down at the end of a paragraph or a section. The last two times you read something, particularly with poetry like we do with Hamilton and music, these are the big ones, right? You're reading to interpret the ideas and you're reading to analyze the author's methods because the author did things a certain way in order to give the opportunity to interpret those ideas. So when you read to interpret ideas, you're unwrapping the claims. This is where you're really reflecting and annotating. A lot of this happens in a discussion format when you are in your grade. And then you take the notes of your discussion and you go off into your quiet abode and put your headphones or whatever it is you do to write that project or reflection or essay. All the interpretations come together. Finally, you read to analyze the author's methods. What did the author do? Why did he do it? What's the result? What effect does this have? Right? So, what does this look like on paper? Gists are usually jotted down at the end of a paragraph or a section. You can typically highlight significant moments. The most writing and reaction comes from reacting and recording your interpretations, which is the third read, right? And then circling author's methods and recording the effect and why. So today, when we look at the different incorporations of different artists in the hip hop world and how they rap or methods they used in the 80s and 90s, you'll see them occur in my shot. So why did he incorporate those things and what effect does it have? That would be an author's methods. And this is not the fourth time we're reading the text, right? So you can pick apart all these four elements. But typically, what I'm trying to get everyone to understand is it takes more than one time. So with Miss Brown yesterday, we read this for the first time, right? And what's cool about these kinds of lessons is you guys already naturally do these things. I did not ask Miss Brown to bold anything, but by bolding things, she pinpointed significant moments, right? I also, anything that I thought was a significant moment, I decided to highlight in red, especially from the conversation we had. We always discussed revolutions, the changes. See how me and Miss Brown bolded the same thing. Down here, we differed. She bolded that Hamilton would have admired the unifying power from the show, but I think the significant moment is that a bunch of people from a bunch of backgrounds made it possible for an even bigger bunch of people from even more backgrounds come see something that was typically very elite. I'm not wrong. Miss Brown is not wrong. We could take this piece and we're interpreting it different ways. And she might have an essay on, how Hamilton changed this unbalance of power in the realm of Broadway. I might write a paper on how incorporating and being very intentional of choosing people of color actually brought in more of an audience of color and gave an opportunity to see something that has for so long, kind of been shut off from them. As you can see, I also have a little gist at the end of different sections in red. And then interpreting ideas sounds a lot like class discussions, as I said, right? So in this section, just jotting down, without Hamilton, we wouldn't have a major shift in ownership of storytelling. By changing a major storytelling platform, we engage in more backgrounds and ideologies than we would have if Lin-Manuel Miranda never did this. I mean, how many people didn't know about musicals until this came out? Probably a lot, right? So I'm kind of like talking to myself. When the author's method here, I said that the author's saying revolution a lot. He's repeating a lot. I ask, does he do this on purpose or is he specifically trying to mirror hip hop's repetitive cadence? Hip hop repeats a lot. So sometimes your notes are not, oh, this is what I'm surmising and assuming of this text. No, sometimes it's asking a question. Like, if I could sit down with this person, I would ask them, did you on purpose make it sound like repetitive, like hip hop? Or did you just like naturally write like that? Sometimes, ELA is this place where my husband makes fun of me that sometimes I read in too much and just go based off what is there. But we're interpreting the language. We don't know, unless we sit down with Jeremy McCarter, we don't know why he wrote the way he wrote, but we can do our best to get that deeper understanding. And I would ultimately say, this is something written to help people who are perhaps not as well versed in theater and Broadway as Miss Brown, understand the importance of what was done here with Hamilton, right? Lucky us, we get to learn from Miss Brown, but this is also something that can be added to our knowledge. And I left my dictionary over here on the right so you guys understand that, like, sometimes Miss Patrick needs to Google words too. So we are going to continue with the My Shot annotation, and these questions on this side is a lot like these things, right? Instead of me just giving you this poster and saying, go do it, I'm doing a little bit of scaffolding and I'm giving you the opportunity to see, and I ask the questions. Now, if you don't understand these questions, you zoom in and you ask. Also, if you see something else in these lyrics or the sound of the music that I didn't put here, jot it down, right? Like you can. Number 7, who do you think the audience is in the stanza? Why? Maybe you cross that out and you have something different to say about the audience in the stanza. Maybe you're not into that question, but you add your own element, right? Something like circle the metaphor in the 4th stanza, that links back to author's methods, right? And it could be used to interpret ideas, but that is also our goal again of the poetic devices and just seeing where we're at. Same with number 3, poetic device. So today is going to look a little more like another reading of the same thing. We want you guys to understand you don't have to, or you shouldn't really, read once and be done. That is a surface level understanding and analysis, and you won't be ready for lengthier discussions or written analyses of the work. So we're going to continue to do multiple readings, and this is just a way of formatting what that could look like. And again, I still use this now, so this pairs nicely with the written work that you're going to be doing today, in addition to what Miss Brown is going to use as a discussion. Remember, for the discussion, you guys did amazing yesterday. You can also incorporate discussions into Zoom. A couple of us made comments in the Zoom and I shared them out loud. So you are more than welcome to do that, and you still get the participation points. I will tell Miss Brown who was engaging in the Zoom. Okay.